come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Beautiful to see you all here today. I'll just give you a quick rundown on the event. Thank you, John. You're going to be my secretary. Yes, ma'am. John's going to speak in a moment, and there aren't hundreds of us here today, but there'll be thousands and thousands and thousands of people watching this event, both live streamed, and we have Ian here today filming us and recording us from Billawheeler. So thank you once again, Ian, for all that you do for the cause. So John will speak, and then I will speak after John. How crazy was that, to try and speak after this amazing man? But nevertheless, I'll give it my best shot. We're then going to introduce a motion, and probably just before we do that, I might stop because you may have some comments or some questions, and if I forget, would somebody remind me, and we'll do that. We'll put that motion forward and vote upon it, and then the plan is to deliver that into the council chambers, as they call them, and call for the CEO and the Mayor to come out and accept that on our behalf, or on your behalf, sorry. Then we'll close, or we'll probably give a report on that. Then we'll close and decamp from here, and I think the nice thing to do, beautiful day, grab a takeaway coffee from Lure Living or your favourite coffee shop, and we'll meet on the beachfront where the amphitheatre is. I know that we have people here from Mackay. Where else were people from? We've got people from the Sunshine Coast, Billawheeler, sorry, Tasmania. My goodness. So it'll be follow the people, and we'll show you where to go. So thank you. Now, as for John, hang on. Just one other thing, if anybody would like to live stream, we'd love you to do that. The more people that see this live, the better. Go for it. We will have a complete record via Ian that can be put up on sites afterwards. But yeah, go for it, live stream. Welcome everybody. Welcome Australia to Yeppoon. So our keynote speaker is none other than the great John Wilson, National Spokesman for nationalstrikeaustralia.org. John is a former president of Trades Hall in Canberra, and a man who has captured the hearts and minds of many Australians who are aware that there is something very wrong in our country. John will talk all things national strike, what actions have been implemented, as well as the imminent launch of the Freedom Union. He will also give an overview on what drives him and the National Strike Australia team, and provide a snapshot of the corruption, overreach and skullduggery at all levels of government, judiciary, courts, policing, academia, councils and unions. It gives me great pleasure to stand with John once more in this place to expose the deceptions imposed on our community. Please welcome John.
Wow, what an intro. I'm not used to this, everyone. I really mean it as an ex-trade union person, as an ex-lefty. I'm used to not having friends and really being painted in a bad light. So I don't know what to say and do sometimes with this lovely words being said about me. But I do love it. I now consider many people in this struggle as not just my countrymen anymore, they're family. I mean it. I feel as close to people now as I now consider more but family. So thank you for those great introductory words, sister. It's lovely, and to everyone else, thank you for your kind welcome. Hard to know where to start, isn't it? Hard to know where it starts. But let's start with this. Listen, get it out of your heads, mate, about being in the majority in this movement. You don't need the majority. Just get that out of your head, right? All of this stuff that there's not enough people here, we need more, all this sort of stuff is just bullshit. You don't. What you've got to be is the most well-organised, disciplined, educated and militant minority. That's what you've got to be. Get it in your heads that we are going to be in the minority. We are never going to be the majority, right? I would rather be in a highly disciplined, educated, and trained minority than I would want to be in some big, fat, sloppy, directionalist majority. Okay, so get that out of your head. You don't need to be the majority. In the Australian military, I mean, who really is at the cutting edge of the Australian military? It's not all of the logistics and all the majority. It's really the Special Air Services, and there's only a couple of hundred of them. You get me? They are the real strike team of the Australian military efforts. So get it out of your head that we need to be the majority. Get it out of your head that you need to have 20,000 people here this morning. You just simply don't. All of these big wars, I mean, the War of Independence in America was fought and won against the biggest, the largest military force in the world with less than 5% of the fighting age men inside of America. Less than 5% of the fighting age men in America fought and beat the greatest military power in the world at the time. So we're going to win this, and we're going to win it with the minority. Get that in your head, okay? But we have to be disciplined. We've got to be really well-oiled. We've got to be, organised. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help build this organised minority. And we are going to be very, very effective in what we do. Okay, so that's the first thing. I want to open that up. Stop worrying about this big, fat, sloppy majority. If you've got any big, fat, sloppy majorities, go and give that to Craig Kelly and give that to Pauline Hanson and these other bloody pissants, right? Give it to them. Let them idiots have all that. We don't need it. We don't need it to win it, and we don't need it to try and get this country back on its feet. We simply don't. Bravery is contagious. It's contagious. And we have to be brave. We've got to show all Australians what bravery looks like, what it feels like, and what it tastes like. And it's going to be contagious. You watch this. You watch it. We are now seeing a desperate, belligerent regime upon this nation and all of its tentacles. You're now seeing a desperate regime in the final stages of collapse. That's what you're watching. That's what you're now watching. They're dangerous, they're desperate, and every week they are only gonna get worse. Get this and understand, until we finally get rid of this belligerent occupation and all of its tentacles, they are just gonna get worse every week. Every week they're there, this is not gonna let up, it's only gonna get worse. So sooner or later, the majority, the big fat, directionalist majority out there, right, okay, I hear Pauline and I hear Malcolm Roberts and I hear Palmer, and I hear all these talking heads keep talking about what the problems are, but none of them are going to engage in any solution. None of them. This is all virtue signalling. No, they've done nothing in 20 years that they've been in Parliament. Nothing, right? Except talk, okay? Tomo John does a lot of talking as well. But I'll tell you what, my talk is a bit different. My talk really...
Can I just interrupt for a second? Can you hear that, everybody? They are booking people in the council car park as we stand here. If your car is down there and you don't want a massive ticket...
Has anyone got their car in the car park?
Sorry, John. Sorry, okay. Everybody. Just want to let you know.
Okay. Just be alert. These, this belligerent occupation is out trying to revenue raise. So if you have got your car parked around here and you think you're exposed to a parking ticket, please address it, okay? We don't want you to get stung, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the final stages of a belligerent, of a collapse of a belligerent occupation. That's what you're watching. They've run out of money. They are now ripping rates off people at colossal increases. I mean, I got a phone call yesterday from a township, activist group in a township called Peterborough in South Australia. 1,500 people, I've been told. They want me down there to do a public meeting. I said, oh, God, that's a long way to come. I said, how many people will come? And I was told that 60% of the entire population is committed to coming to a public meeting. Over 800 people out of a township of 1,500 want me down there for a public meeting to turn it on against the local councils because they just jacked the rates right up. And I then asked this question. I said, listen, they really want to do this strike action, do they? And they said, John, it's not that they don't want to pay, it's they cannot pay it. They can't. They physically don't have the finances to pay it anymore. And I've just bumped into a local here at this group. I just bumped into a guy, and a Peterborough local, and he's just told me that Peterborough is perhaps one of the most, if not the most lowest income community in South Australia. It's either the lowest or close to the lowest. So you are now watching the most desperate communities that they've got no more blood to give. They've got no more to give. And they're being asked to cough up double. In some cases it's 50% increases, in some cases it's 100% increase, etc. And so what we are now seeing is people that would not normally get themselves involved in this sort of direct action against these sorts of local government decisions. We're now seeing them have no choice. And now they're ready to lay siege. And when you start explaining to them that not only is it an unjust and harsh increase and all the rest of it, when you start explaining how unconstitutional it all is and how unlawful it all is, holy moly, does that trigger these people, mate. So there's a growing anger out there. There's a growing fury that's being mobilised against the likes of these parasites, okay? Now, what I'm concerned about is this, is that, and I'm telling you stuff you guys already know, right? Now, the Freemasons' mantra is order out of chaos. That's their mantra. That's how they do business. Now, they want to hold themselves out as the solution, but they need chaos. They need chaos, right? At the moment, they create the problem, they then get the reaction, and then they hold themselves out as the solution, right? Problem, action, solution. That's Freemasonic. Then you have, right, that's how they do their business, and over here it's order out of chaos. They need to, before they can hold themselves out as the answer right, to all these problems here in Australia, they need what's going on over in England at the moment. They need complete chaos. They need the community almost in revolutionary mode. They're promoting that, and they're promoting that primarily using their two tentacles, which is law enforcement, the pigs, and the courts. And that is the two-tier policing and two-tier court systems, i.e. letting rapists and murderers walk the streets and locking up a local activist for several years for almost nothing, right? That's what they're doing. And that is creating huge social fabric, a tear in the social fabric. It's now leading into riots and pushback of all sorts of descriptions. That is order out of chaos. They generate the chaos so that they then can hold themselves up as the solution. Okay? Now that's what's got to happen here in Australia, right? Okay? They want chaos. The Freemasons want chaos. They want everyone in Australia to go out off their chops. That's what they want, right? And they're going to keep ratcheting up the pressure until they get that chaos, okay? Until they get people literally wanting to burn the place to the ground. And when that happens, they're then going to hold themselves out and say, oh, we can fix all this, vote for all us, and we can go back and fix all this and blah. And you will then freely resubmit to this Freemasonic bloody Babylonian system that they control us by, okay? So that's why we need a union. We need this Freedom Union launched because we don't want chaos. I don't want chaos. I don't want people going feral. I want people to be able to express their anger and all of their emotional upheaval in an organised way that does lead to real change without chaos, right? The Freemason and the cops and the courts, and they don't want this union. They don't want it because the union is going to avoid outright chaos, and it's going to be organised, and it's going to be focused, and it's going to really achieve things. So they don't want this union at all, which is why last week, which is why the Freemason local pigs at Boona went down to the venue and cancelled my event that I was invited to at Boona. They went down to the pub and told them that I was on a terrorist watch list and that I was a bad person, all the rest of it, and they had the event cancelled because they don't want the locals to have any idea that there is a way to do something about this misery in an organised, disciplined way that does work, okay? They don't want that. They want chaos. And they're going to keep getting worse and worse and worse until the community fabric tears, and then they're going to rip it open, and then they're going to egg it all on. And then they're going to hold themselves out and say, vote for me. Vote for Pauline Hanson. We're good people. We're the solution. We're the solution. Pauline Hanson, Malcolm Roberts and others, and don't get me wrong, none of this is personal with me. I'm an old ex-com. You've got to understand. I don't care if I like someone. I don't care if people like me. It means nothing to me. All I care about is are they a useful idiot for the opposition team, or are they a decent person and they're an effective player for our team? That's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. Okay, so when I refer to people like Pauline and Malcolm and Palmer and Gina Reinhardt and all the rest of it, it's not like I'm trying to make things personal, because it's just I don't think like that, right? But now what you're seeing is you're now seeing the Freemasons and all of their infrastructure. They know this reset is coming. They know it's coming. They read the same research that I read. They watch the green room stuff that Rick Dosey puts up. They watch my stuff. They know what's coming. Like we know what's coming, okay? So they've now got out of the Freemasonic lodges, and they've now gone poured into other community-based organisations, and they've all fronted up to One Nation saying, give us protection. give us political protection. And Pauline and One Nation, that's exactly what they've done. They're up here locally. You know, you've got a One Nation candidate up here, okay, Ashby, right? He's going to hold himself out as the solution, right? When all the way through, Pauline and all of those other people who are there right now can bring it all down. They can bring it all down. With our help, they can easily bring it down and shorten it all up. They could have. When we were in Canberra 2.5 years ago, it was Pauline and the Freemasons that pulled the plug on it, on all of it, and destroyed that movement down there, okay? So that's what you're watching. The only real pushback, real, unowned, independent ones that I can see is Australia One, Rick Dosey and all of that team, and Como John, National Strike, Freedom Union team. That's all I can see. There's some other peripheral groups which are great support groups. Unite and White is one. Some of the common law people, others, right? But that's it. That's the dividing line. That's it. You're going to make your choice. Either you're going to support the Freemasons, One Nation and all of that coalition. They've now regrouped. This Aligned Council of Australia, ACA, that's all the Freemasons and their hangers-on. They've regrouped. They've all regrouped, right, under a different banner. They morph into a different identity. That's what they do. That's how they do their business. You must understand this. They are itching for the social fabric to tear in Australia, all the while they're running around virtue signalling. I mean, again, I actually like Malcolm Roberts. He's a little foot soldier. I do, personally. But I've never seen him do anything. He runs around virtue signals. Oh, this is wrong, and that's wrong. Oh, look at all this. This is wrong. Oh, I'm going to move a motion. I mean, it's just shit. It's just shit. You know, they can pull the whole lot of this down, but they won't. They're putting their personal interests and their political interests before the safety and well-being of their countrymen. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. Okay. So, get it in your head, one, we do not need the majority. We've got to be a really well-oiled machine in the minority. That's how you're going to win this. Number two, you don't need the big, fat, sloppy majority, right? You don't. Number two, right? You've got to know who's batting on your team and who's not, okay? You have people batting on your team you've got to be certain of, and you've got to understand who's batting for the opposition. Well, I'm telling you who's batting for the opposition. Just about every single freedom fighter, truther, alt media person out there is batting for the opposition team. I'm telling you. Just about all of them. We have rebuilt exactly the same corporate media business model that you and I have just spent 5 years destroying. We've now rebuilt it in the alt media. We put the same choke points, the same censorship, the same bullshit in the alt media now that was all there that the corporate media have done. Can you see what I mean? They've left the corporate media, they've moved and morphed into the alt media. I mean, how do they get all this, $20,000, $50,000 worth of camera gear and sound equipment and editorial production and all that? How do they get all this? Where do they get all this? Right? Overnight, they got, 500,000 followers. You get me? This is all of that stuff is coming from, they're batting for the opposition team. Now, what's going on is this. The Australian Freemasons know that there's going to be a military intervention soon. They know that. They know that all of their power, privilege and ill-gotten gains is going to be taken off them. They know that's coming. They know it. So they are regrouping. They are going to lay low during military intervention, and the day after the military leave, they're going to come back out and they're going to take it all back. That's their plan. They're going to take it all back. They're getting organised behind the scenes, and they've already infiltrated. This is Aligned Council of Australia. This other, My Place, and all this stuff, mate. I'm telling you, infected deeply with Freemason. Now, Freemasons ain't the only secret society that we are at odds with, mate. There's others. Yeah, you've got the Fabian Society, all the unions. They're all Fabians, all open Society's foundation, which is George Soros, Get Up, all George Soros, all this stuff, they're all Fabians, right? But then you have others. You've got the political Zionists, right? They're another infection that's turning our country gangrene, okay? And there's others out there, Knights of Malta, Jesuits, and other secret societies. These people despise us. I'm telling you, they despise us, and they despise our existence. They call us goyim. They call us swine, cattle, right? They hate us. They hate our country, and they want to see a lot less of us. You understand? So you get that in your head that what this council represents is not just a belligerent occupation that's financially raping the constituents, mate, but ultimately they'd like to see most of us mass murdered and dead. You understand? That's what they've signed up to. They've signed contracts with the World Health Organization, United Nations, and other, really dangerous globalist organisations that will ultimately lead to mass misery and ultimately death. You are now seeing perhaps with this coronavirus bullshit and all of this mass vaccination poison program, you're seeing the biggest mass murder that's ever taken place perhaps since, I don't know, in the world ever, or certainly since World War II. This is horrific stuff, ladies and gentlemen, horrific stuff. And you can now see who has betrayed us. I mean, the cops have betrayed us. The cops were holding guns at our heads, frequency weapons, police dogs, and all the rest of it. They were holding us down while the globalists were literally cutting our throats and mass murdering us. Now, ask yourself, who controls the police? It's the Freemasons control it. You get me? Who controls the cops? The Freemasons. Now, the parliamentarians pass the laws and all the rest of them. We know it's illegal, but who controls the parliamentarians? Well, most of them are controlled by the Zionists and the Freemasons. You get me? And they have betrayed us. Then you go to the medical profession. Who controls them? Well, that's the Freemasons, right? You go to the unions and the Labor Party. Who controls them? Well, that's the Fabians, George Soros. So we can see where the betrayals have come from, and we know who has betrayed us. We know. It's so easy to put these pieces together. Now what we are seeing is you're seeing the cover-up. You're seeing the cover-up. They have failed in their mass murder agenda. They failed. I mean, they've been successful in mass murdering a lot of people, but they haven't achieved enough. They weren't able to kill enough of us. Now what you're seeing is the cover-up. They're everywhere trying to cover up. And that's what you're seeing. Malcolm Roberts, Pauline Hanson, and all the fucking rest of them, they're out there covering their tracks. They're covering up, protecting these filthy cops, these filthy councils, these filthy stinking judges, right, magistrates and that. They're running cover for them. They're running cover. You can see it, right? Now, they are going to give us some bodies. Malcolm Roberts and that will give us some sacrifices. They will. They'll say, oh, yeah, he's a dirty, stinking criminal and everything. Go and kill him, right? Hang him. And then, as long as they don't lose control, they will feed us some sacrifices, right? They will throw some of their own under the bus just to satisfy our bloodlust, our thirst and our quest for revenge, okay? So they'll do that as long as they don't lose control, ultimate control. Have a look at what they're saying. Now, we all know, go and pick up the newspaper that's around here, the corruption whistleblower. It's all laid out. We know that our sovereignty has been usurped. We know that now. We know that our national sovereignty has been attacked by UN, World Health, World Economic Forum, and all the rest of it. We now know that everyone else knows that it's been usurped because the corporate abos, They want a slice of the action because they know how our sovereignty has been usurped, so they want a slice of the action, right? The Australia Party, TAP, they know that our sovereignty's been usurped because they want to do the voice mark too. Not a national voice, but a regional voice. Same business model, right? Chop Australia up into real estate and appoint some abo, some corporate abo as a landlord, and we all pay that corporate abo unending taxation and other costs money just to live in our own country. Okay? So they know this. They read the same research that we do. They watch everything. They see it coming. They know what's coming. So they're going to morph and hide themselves. They're going to camouflage themselves. They're going to stir up, and they want a national breakdown of our society so that they can hold themselves up as being the solution. And I aim to stop that by launching a new national trade union which is going to not allow anarchy. I do not and will not ever support anarchy. And you know why? We don't have to. We don't have to. To win this war, we must let the military come in and do all the heavy lifting and clean up, but then we have to be ready to take the garbage out. We've got to be ready to do that. And we won't and can't do that if we're running around doing insane and unreasonable things. That's not going to help. We don't need any violence. We just don't. We're going to have military people who are going to have all the heavy weaponry, all the military tribunals and all that to deal with them, right? What we've got to do is once the belligerent occupation is cleaned up, we've got to take the garbage out. We've got to take all the other garbage out. And if we don't, as soon as the military leave, they're going to reorganise, come in and take it all back. That's what they're going to do. I can see it coming. And you know why I know they're going to do that? Because that's what I'd do. If I was a communist, that's exactly what I would do. Give me a minute, Lady Angela. So, one, minority. Get used to it, embrace it, get organised, tighten it up, educate it, finance it, all that, right? And that's what we need. We don't need a big sloppy majority. No, forget it. I've done too many battles, right? What you've got to look for is choke points. Choke points. Go where those little narrow necks come in and choke them and suffocate them. And I'm telling you, you can be far more effective doing that than running around the streets in your hundreds of thousands chanting and bullshitting on and banging drums. Okay, so number one, an organised minority is what we need. Number two, we need a union. We need a new national union launched so that this union keeps control, keeps direction, keeps discipline and offers protection and is able to launch counter-attacks. Now, counter-attacks I'm talking are things like a private criminal prosecutions. Under the criminal code, right, you can take criminal charges out against anyone you like, and have them charged and take them to court under the Crimes Act and go after them. Now, it never happens because most ordinary people don't have the resources to do it. You give me a trade union with $10-20 million in funding, because that's the business model I'm building, right? We'll have plenty of for private criminal prosecutions. And even if you prosecute and you lose, it's a criminal prosecution. There's no costs. The cost each party's got to pay themselves. So if I go after with a union and prosecute the CEO here criminally and cost him $100,000 and I pay 20, he's got to pay his own 100 and I've got to pay my own 20, even if I lose. You get me? So criminal prosecutions, private criminal prosecutions is one of the things that we're going after. I intend to go down to the Rockhampton police station, and if there's a senior sergeant down there that ain't doing his stinking job, if he's breaking the law, then I'm going to charge the bastard and have him in the courts criminally, and I'm going to demand that he gets jailed. if the judge and the prosecutor don't do their job, then I'm going to charge the judge criminally and charge the prosecutor for failure of duty. You understand where we're going to go? No longer are we going to allow the poor individual get bankrupted by a state that's got all the cash and all the funds, our money, to bankrupt the individual. That's where the union's going to go for it. You get me? Now I've got right now, I'm talking to well over 30,000 CFMEU members right now who are witnessing the death of their union through massive corruption. They've got nowhere to go. So I'm saying to them, come and join the Freedom Union, $200 a year, and they're now considering it. Now I'm hoping to very soon get an influx of 30,000 people within 30 days, and that will give me an immediate budget overnight of $6 million. Can you see how this is going to be played out? I'm not fucking around here. I'm not pissing around. And then we're going to go after them. We are going to charge them criminally, right? And then any judge, any cop, any prosecutor, any public service, any of them who don't do their job, then we're going to charge them as well, okay? And we will do everything we can to bankrupt them and do what they've been doing to us since time memorial. You get me? That's how we're going to play this out. We're not going to be pissing around with them. We need this union. We need it. And if you don't have it, if you don't help me build it, then once the military go, the only organisation that's going to be left is one, Rick Bosey and Australia One, and that's not enough. That is not enough. You cannot expect Australia One to pull this off on its own. It is unfair to put that responsibility on Bosey and the A1 people. It's unfair. It's too big for them. They can't do it. The only way we're going to be able to hold the Freemasons out and make sure that they don't get back into power and set themselves up for another war that our grandchildren are going to have to go and fight them with, right, is for this union to be up and running, okay? We have to have it. Have to, okay? Now, if people don't want it, then I accept that. I'm not here to ram it down your throat. I'm not here to... If you don't want it, then that's fine by me. I'll go back to my boat and go fishing. I'm offering it up. I'm saying this is the way to do it, right? If I can't convince people, right, then I accept that, okay? But the feedback I'm getting is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. People want this to get up. And I've got 30,000 CFMEU people in Melbourne right now thinking about joining the Freedom Union overnight, okay? So, I've got others up here in Queensland, the coal mining, hundreds of them. I've got to go out to the central Queensland. I've got to go down to places like Peterborough, where you've got folk down there that literally want to burn their council building to the ground, you know. This has got heaps and heaps and heaps of potential, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to push it as hard as I can. Please support me. I can't explain the corruption. Pamela, do you need to say something, or am I still right to go? Oh, okay.
Don't wind him up.
Yeah, don't fucking wind me up. I'm already on a terrorist hot list, mate, you know. Oh dear, oh me. Don't you love these globalists and their law enforcement toadies, mate? They project their crimes onto you. They terrorise us. They mass murder us. They vax and destroy us. And then they stand back and say, look, they're bloody terrorists. Isn't it unreal, eh? So look, ladies and gentlemen, minority, we have a new union going to be launched the next couple of weeks. I just say to you, if you support this union, you watch this take off. You watch it, right? I'm asking all of yous. I know you're tired. I know most of yous have had the fight kicked out of yous, right? But I also know you have one more fight left within you. And if you have got that, give that last fight to me. I won't squander it. I won't betray it, right? I will use it and make a difference with your last fight that you have. Give that fight to me. Come and join me. I won't betray you. I will make this happen, and I can. I've got form in delivering on this stuff. So keep at it, We are going to win. They're collapsing. They have not much life, but they're still dangerous. Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Pamela, and God bless.
Thank you, John. It's a brave woman, isn't it, that winds John up.
Let's get rid of these piss ass